And you got a body made for a newspaper. Television just brings in all the lighting, and it's just, I can make a cake on top of my head, right? Oh, hi!
Yeah. Yeah, folks, it is roasting out there. I was ready to go on here a few minutes ago, and she come home and she's like, "Oh, my mother's air conditioning ain't working in her car. I need to bring the car down to the garage, so you need to follow me down there and drive me home." And I was like, "Oh boy, okay." So she had to drive her mother's car with no air conditioning across town, and we hit the train. And we had to wait for the train. It was brutal. It's brutal over here right now. My house, I've had the AC on all day, and it's still like 78 degrees in here and uncomfortable as all heck.
That's about what it is. It really was humid this morning. Got up early. The guy that was supposed to come didn't come, so they had someone else come this morning, and so we got up way too early. It was one of those nights at 4:30 you go, it's time to wake up, right? Like, no, it's not. And so I got up this morning, and our hallway was just, it was, well, as Polly says, it was Tampa. That's a warm, wet blanket.
It was almost 100. It probably hit 100 today here, and that's hot where we are. That is roasting.
Yeah,
and we've been talking about moving. So we talked about some of the problems I'm having here with work. We talked about moving, and Florida's one of the places we thought about. But man, it's like we have a day like today, and it's like I don't think I want to deal with that on a regular basis.
Nope. Not even
as
close.
Bad as the snow is, that we are melting here today. It is bad.
I suppose you get used to it, but
you might.
As Steve says, just drop it in to see what condition his air conditioning was in. Overworked.
What was the joke that I heard somebody say that said the only thing pleasing me in the bedroom right now is my air conditioner? Yeah, I get my Reds thing. It doesn't have a top on it. I can air out my head. It's just too hot for anything right now.
A couple of weeks ago, the wife rolls over and it's like, "Oh, we're gonna do that," and so we cuddled for a second. She said, "Nope, too hot."
It is. Yep. Yeah. I'm never one to shy away, but yeah. It's
get away from me. I love you, honey, but no.
So last night we were talking, and I had to go have my my 2 tests today for my procedure, right? And maybe last night one of them was so I had the COVID test. Okay, I'll just say that I had the COVID test. They must have changed it because I heard that they were pretty bad, but this was
same test. I think people are surprised just how far it goes up your nose.
I just heard from when I heard a friend of mine had it, and she says they go way up there, and they're in there for a minute or two, rummaging around.
No.
And I'm just like, a minute or two.
Oh no. Sarah, my wife had it, and she said it wasn't.
It was like up, spin, out, and that's how fast it was. It was really fast. So good for that. It does water your eyes, and you're all like, I did cough a little bit after. I was like, oh wow, it just kind of gagged you a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. But I was supposed to have a blood test, and I had to call 3 doctors today because when I went in, it wasn't under it. I wasn't in the system. I wasn't in the system. You ever heard that? I'm not in the system.
Yeah.
So I called one doctor. Oh, well, you might be fine. Well, I don't know. Mites. If I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to show up for this procedure.
How would you not have a procedure done and not have blood work before it?
I don't know. I haven't had a procedure done like this in quite some time.
I mean, even the cat when she got fixed had to have blood work done, and she was 5 months old.
Yeah. So the one lady's like, oh, you might be fine. Or maybe we can do it that day. I was like, I don't want any maybes. So finally, I made 3 phone calls. The third phone call was finally like, oh yeah, you used I guess one doctor prescribed the COVID test, and one doctor prescribed the blood test. I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I can't figure out health yet. So anyway, I went down to the hospital to get it done. And last night, so what I was getting to is last night talking, you said drink a lot of water, right?
Yes.
So I drank some water last night, and then I drank some today. And I wasn't drinking gallons, but I mean, I tried to have a couple.
No, but certainly you want to stay hydrated.
I get there today, and they couldn't find any veins, and they actually jammed it in me, and I'm sitting there and like,
well, and I get the thing over your hand.
All right, so I look away, and they take it out, and like, oh, we done? She's like, no. I was like, why? What do you mean? She goes, I didn't get any blood. I was like, what do you mean? You just jabbed me, and I get the thing here to prove it. You didn't get any blood out of me. It's like, no. And so then there was 2 of them standing next to me, and they said, are you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. You just stuck me, and you didn't get any blood, and I'm concerned. and they're like, you're sweating. And I looked down and my arms like were on the pads there in the blood table, and it was soaked. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of freaking out that you stuck a needle in me. You didn't get any blood. I says, that's never happened. Oh, it happened. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to me. It's never happened.
Welcome to my world.
Holy cow. She's like, oh, maybe the vein moved. Okay, what do you mean the vein moved? She's like, have you been drinking a lot of water? And I was like, well, Jack had told me to drink water last night, so I drank some. She goes, well, you haven't drank enough water. I'm like, oh, so what now? So she's like, well, we're going to try to go in your hand. And I was like, I don't want to go in my hand.
Welcome to my world.
I gotta, play a video game tonight or something with my hand, So
that's for Daffy Duck after. It's okay.
So I got this. So because I'm on the thinners, they had to like plug me up. Although I didn't really bleed too bad.
The thinners, you should have been an easy prick.
Yeah, but I wasn't bleeding anyway. So I got the thing here, and then she gets it in my hand. I'm turned away, and she's like, "It's slow going here." I was like, "It's like the gasoline pump when like you get 4 people pumping at the same time, and you see the thing going." She's like, "Come on, you just put the gas in the car to get the blood out of my hand." Oh, so finally, she's like, "I think we're done." I said, "Did you get any blood this time?" She goes, "Oh yeah, we got blood. We got blood." And she puts it on. So I got like all these needle marks all over me, and I'm. Oh my gosh. She's like, oh, drink some water. Drink some water. It's hot out. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go and drink some water. Says, I didn't walk the dog today. She goes, don't walk the dog. Don't even you walk today. It's too hot out. And She was exactly right. It was too hot. So I come home with 3 bottles of water when I come home to try to hydrate.
Yeah.
It was nuts. That was nuts.
I have to have a phlebotomist draw my blood because of my disability. My veins roll because I don't have the muscle mass that you do. So what they've had to do in the past before the home health hired a phlebotomist is they would go into my hand. You know how many nerves are in the back of your hand?
Yes, I found out today.
Yes, you do now. And so I could feel them. A Jim Reeves reference? Okay. And so I can feel my skin start to separate, and I'm looking. And so by the 3rd or 4th time, have a good night, Steve. Steve doesn't want to hear about my lack of blood stories here. And so, I feel that, we can't get anything. We'll be back tomorrow. Drink more water.
Oh, that's the worst. That's what I thought I was going to have to come back. And I was just
what they finally did was I had to go to the hospital and get it done. And then the home health finally hired a phlebotomist.
Oh, there you go.
We haven't done this. You and I have talked, but we haven't done this in a few weeks. So last week, during this whole COVID thing, I make no bones about being diabetic and medications and all that. So was supposed to have a blood. Yes, this is. May it please, if it pleases, I will continue. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Now you're going to get Sunday Jucket here. You sit there and spend 4 minutes going on and on about how they can't get any blood. I'm trying to offer you support. Is this a long story? I got a pronoun and a noun for you, Gardner. Anyway, so I asked for some blood work done. I'm supposed to have it done every 6 months, but because of COVID, they couldn't get it until apparently last week or 2 weeks ago. So she shows up. You should know that was a great sale. She shows up unannounced, and just like Dave, I'm supposed to drink a lot of water the night before so I can bleed on command for this woman because. That's what I'm supposed to do. It's not even the love bites, love bleeds. It's not even Def Leppard. It's just bleed. And so I'm about to do a stream. I'm in the middle of lunch. We have to move my lunch, and she gets on the bed with me, and I must have drank enough the night before because she puts the tourniquet on, and, you got a juicy one right there. Like, ooh. Most guys would be excited when a woman says you got a juicy one, but no, she's not after. She's after blood, man.
Oh, they like certain veins, but yeah,
blood is what she's after.
She said when she looked at my hand, she goes, "Oh, we got a good one here."
Yeah, juicy's the word. Juicy's the word that she used. And so, fine, go ahead. And so she got it. I felt the needle go in. My wife makes your tough prick jokes. Ha 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 ha. I looked down and went, not seeing anything. And then I see the other vial. She got it right off. Like, I did the right thing.
See, I don't look. She's like, hey, got the prick. I'm like, yeah. And I feel it. I'm like, that wasn't too bad, but I can't look.
It wasn't too bad.
I can't look. I don't like metal touching me. And that's what I was telling them. I said I have a hard time with metal inside me. I says I can't wear jewelry. I can't wear rings. I can't wear watches. I don't
allergic. I did not know that until I got married, and she put Sarah wore. Oh, I'm not answering that. Sarah wore her wedding ring, and mine was put on a band around my neck, and so I wore it, and I broke right out. And so my mother has metal allergies, and so no, absolutely not. I can't do that.
I can't. When I try to wear what I do, I take it off, and to a point, I can't wear nothing. And
every 10 years, I buy my wife a new wedding band because that's what she wants, and we do titanium because she's got mental issues too. And we know we're married.
Yeah.
And we've been together so long, 22 years in a couple of weeks. We never think of it. Anyway, so to finish the blood draw story, if it pleases the court, yes, I will continue. Thank you very much. Oh, you left a voicemail too. Well, maybe I should actually check to see what that is. Got my results back like 2 days later. And so my A1C was so low that it was below pre-diabetic levels.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
So it's a 5.4.
I wonder how do you do that? I got to get mine down because I'm going to be on the crap pretty soon.
Well, I'm on metformin 3 times a day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, I'm wearing a SpongeBob shirt.
Nice.
And so and they finally last year put me on, it was supposed to be Januvia, and I had the allergic reaction to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I had sores on my elbows from it. So they switched.
You got SpongeBob socks on? You have SpongeBob socks, right?
I do have I've worn New York Giant socks today, but I do have SpongeBob socks.
You got Giant socks on today?
I even have Gary socks.
Oh, is that the little clam buddy of his?
That's the snail. That's his pet.
The snail, the Gary snail.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm taking Jardians, which makes me pee sugar, and so the combination of the two lowered my A1C in the middle of this pandemic,
right,
to pre-diabetic levels. Talk for a sec while I listen to this voicemail.
Good. All right, so last Monday, I was going to come on here last Monday, and I don't know if anybody that lives near me knew what happened last Monday, but it was about 3:30 in the afternoon. You'd see some of the music videos I've been uploading and some of the hockey games, and so I was uploading, and poof, power goes out here at the house, and then comes right back on. Well, of course, it messes up the computer and everything else, and the internet and the cable TV. Is like, okay, whatever. Like 20 minutes later, still no internet, still no TV, still no phone. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Okay, so obviously the power outage, Comcast can't get back online. What's going on? So I grab my phone, right? Verizon's out. There's no Verizon. So I got no Comcast and no Verizon. So effectively, I have zero communications in my house right now. And that if I needed to call 911 or if I needed to call anything, if I needed to call for a pizza, I couldn't do it. I had zero communications at my house. To a point where it's one thing to lose your internet and your TV and your dial tone because it's all connected to Comcast if you have Comcast, but to lose your cell phone, nothing, no texts, no data. I couldn't get the weather to come up on my cell phone. I'm like, okay, something's going on. I actually grabbed an AM radio and turned it on to see if we were under some kind of attack or something like that, because that just made no sense that you would lose Comcast and Verizon Wireless at the same time and both were out. That made no sense. And it turns out I had to go up the street. I met somebody. I've been selling some stuff on Facebook. So I went up the street and I met this person and I had a signal up the street and I managed to get a text out and check Facebook. And someone said that a couple streets behind me, a truck had knocked down some wires. But I'm like, if you knock down some wires, why the heck would my Verizon go out, a quarter mile down the road? But if I drive a quarter mile, I have Verizon. It was really, really weird. Weird feeling. On top of everything that's going on, I thought for sure that we were under attack.
Hey, the scammers are back. That's what that was. A scam to try to,
oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was probably, so I was going to come on last Monday.
It's Verizon your landline or Verizon your cell phone?
Verizon Wireless is cell phone.
All right. Well, it depends. It could have been, power was knocked out at the tower.
It was just weird that I had no communication at all. Not even my home phone, because it's all connected to the internet stuff. Now, back in the
Right.
day, you could lose power and everything else, and you'd
Oh
still
yeah,
have a phone.
I remember being 7, 8 years old and being amazed. Power's out. Okay,
But
Ronnie, call your grandmother. What?
Yeah, you can call somebody. Yeah. That's the weird thing. So I really thought something was going on. I was
Yeah,
like,
I don't blame you for that.
it was kind of weird. And then people say, no, it'll be back on by 9:00. And so needless to say, I tried to come on last week and do a show. I had no internet. I didn't have a cell phone. I couldn't even text anybody. It was really kind of.
I watched your smoke signal show. Couldn't see him all the way up here in Burlington.
Yeah, it would have been faster if I mailed a letter or something. That was kind of, it was creepy. It really was. And then we have all the heat here. I don't know where everybody else is in this world right now, but boy, I tell you, it had to hit 100 today, because it was just 98 in my car driving across town, and it was 6:45 when I drove across town, and it was. I know it gets a little hotter in the car, and the temperature kind of exacerbates a little bit.
I've used Weather Underground as my homepage just because I use it in the winter back from when I commuted back and forth to work, and all the weather stations were reporting heat indexes in Burlington of over 100.
Yeah. I would imagine if you were out in the street in the sun, you'd be dying out there. I looked into that, Matt. I did. I looked into a generator for the house, because we had the power go out in the winter, a couple times. But the thing is, I got to say that, we've been here over 20 years, and we've had really good luck with the power. Really good luck with the power.
Our lines are underground.
So it's to go and get a generator, spend all that money on it, and to upkeep it and make sure it works for a handful of hours a year, maybe. I mean,
exactly.
That's the thing. It's like a swimming pool, It's like, because we went to my brother's house. I got baked. I don't know if you can see me peeling over here in my arm, but
you got a farmer's tan.
Yeah, I've been peeling. So I sat in his pool a couple Sundays ago, and I just got burnt. And I was like, oh, that was done. That was stupid. But it's just been so hot over here. That it's just been incredible. And Dave, I can't imagine working in attics. That's ridiculous. 132 degrees. Yeah, and if you pass out there, you're dead. If no one knows you're up there, you're done. You're done. And so 82.
We're going there. It's one of the rare times. Bruce, the banner's here. I did get it. It's huge. It's double. I think it's 4x7. And I think when we figure the ABC Sports one is 2x5 or whatever. So what my wife has to do, and it's just been too hot for her to want to do this, is remove all the things that we hang it by, and then hang it up. The picture of the beautiful painting of the lake I have behind me, I have to move that, and then we'll put it up. And the ABC Sports banner, the one that is my daddy, will be on the wall next to me. But I just haven't made her. It was late. I don't think the guy shipped it. I think I had to remind him.
93 in Alberta.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, Bruce, I haven't seen the banner, so I can't speak personally for this fish story, but he says he's got it. He ordered it back before COVID, before all this all started. So your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I think he's an honest guy for the most part, so I'll take his word for it that he A, ordered the banner, and B, it arrived. I have yet to see either one. So he did send me some kind of an email that said, whatever, trying to convince me that he ordered this banner. But
I will make sure, Gardner. Actually, no, because we don't do this every day anymore. You'll just have to take. Where is it? It is on the other side of the computer. I mean, it's huge. It really is. Well, my wife would move the ABC banner. If it attacks her,
yeah, then we're in trouble.
then there won't be a 22nd wedding anniversary. I'll tell you that.
94 down. Yeah, we're having some kind of a heat wave here. It's supposed to be hot again tomorrow. Then the thunderstorms are coming in the afternoon. I don't know.
Ow.
Yeah, that banner might get scrappy.
Yes, I know, but she can deal with it. I'm going to be Marlon Perkins and watch from the safety from the helicopter as Jim wrestles the elephants.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm rolling the dice. Who was it here that said they lost power? Big Paulie said he lost power for 18 hours after a hurricane. Yeah, I would see that. A hurricane would wipe you out and then you'd be done. Luckily up here, even our worst winters, it's been 6 or 8 hours at the most. I think we've lost power. And it doesn't happen much. I don't think it happens enough to warrant that. I mean, if it keeps happening over and over and over, yeah. But I mean, when truck hits a pole or truck hits some wires, that can happen at any time, you know.
We have a generator here in our building that keeps the emergency lights of the elevator running.
Yeah.
But that's about it. There's no power in the apartment. So a couple of weeks ago, or maybe about a month ago, I guess, they decided at 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning in the middle of a heat wave was the perfect time to repair something. And so everything goes burp and off. So the air conditioner goes off, the fan goes off, and it was just barely daylight.
Yeah.
And so you really can't go back to sleep because there's natural light in the room.
Yeah, that's tough. Lafreniere. I don't recognize that name.
That's the kid that is supposed to be the overall #1 pick in hockey.
Oh, is that the hockey guy there? I don't follow much current hockey. I mean, obviously, I'll put on NHL Network once in a while, and if they talk somebody up, I'll hear the name. But I haven't followed that too much. So I'll have to look into that. I'll see who he is. I don't know. Well, he's going to go to Edmonton, you know that, because they get the first pick every year. That's just how the rules are set.
Well, no, it's set this year that one of the teams that loses in the first round of the play-in will get that first pick. So it could be Edmonton or Montreal or Toronto. Whoever loses in their first round, there'll be a pick from there. Yeah. So Robbie, no, I mean the banner is huge. The CBS banner is a good 4x7. It's bigger than I am.
That's
if I left the ABC banner, I can't imagine it. So
I'm trying to hydrate here because the lady's like, drink some water when you get home. So I've been drinking water and Gatorade and everything else.
I'm getting my next Gatorade shipment this week.
Yeah, I went to the store today, bought a bunch of water and Gatorade and a whole bit. It's just like, I should have bought more actually. Now that I didn't realize how hot it was going to be.
I get through. I don't know. Big David panned out pretty well, wasn't he?
David was he? He must have been a one. Yeah, was it him or was it the guy that went to Buffalo?
Eichel's played well. They just don't put anybody around him.
Yeah,
you know, you can't say that Eichel was a bust.
No, you can't. Is he still in Buffalo? Or did he go somewhere else?
No, he's still in Buffalo.
Because I thought Buffalo had somebody else that was really good, and they get rid of him. They sent him somewhere.
No, he's still, I think, under his rookie contract. I think. I'm not sure. But, you know.
I mean, I thought there was someone else that was in Buffalo that was good, too, and they sent him away. I don't know.
The thing about a sport with a salary floor is that it's kind of harder to do that because you have to spend money. Are you listening, Major League Baseball? Because salary floors. What do I think of the crazy day in baseball? If the Marlins had 14 people test positive after they played Philadelphia, and so the Phillies game was postponed tonight. The Marlins can't fly home. Can't say I'm really surprised at this. You're trying to do all this real-time testing, and it takes 2 days to get tests back. You didn't think there'd be a season anyway.
I just interested to know, without getting into it all again, is if these people that are testing positive, do they have any symptoms?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's who you're around.
I know, but I'm just wondering, like, you know, these people getting sick and going to the hospital, they just test positive. You know, that's what I'm interested in seeing.
I think that
yeah, he did have a big contract.
You can't really do a bubble with them. I'm curious to see how it goes for the NHL. I think the NBA will be fine too. You haven't heard too many new cases for that. We'll see. I think football should.
I don't know how anybody's. If we're all wearing masks, I don't know how anybody's catching this virus anymore. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, you know, young dumb athletes go into bars.
But if they're all wearing masks, we're all safe. We're all 100% safe.
Well, yeah. So.
So as number one picks in hockey, I'm trying to think. I mean, McDavid was good. Edmonton had a couple. Taylor Hall was another one.
He was kind of a bust. McDavid is not.
I would. Well, let's put it this way. I think if you're a top number one, number two pick in the NHL, I don't think you'd be a bust. But I think you would always. I think the expectations are really high. But I think all those players are really good, and I think they'll have pretty good NHL careers. But to try to find the next Gretzky or whoever, Lemieux, that's a tall tale to ask anybody right now. It really is. So for me, you got a number one, number two pick in hockey, and I think they're going to have a good career. There'll be a name you'll hear for many years, and they might not set it on fire, although McDavid kind of is a little bit.
All right. So since 2006, Eric Johnson with the Blues.
Okay.
Patrick Kane with the Blackhawks. He's been pretty good. Steven Stamkos with Tampa. He's a Hall of Famer. John Tavares.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, not unbelievable, but he was really good.
And Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins from Red Deer.
So he's another Edmonton guy.
Yeah. Niall Yakupov, who I've never heard of before.
Never heard of him.
Nathan McKinnon for the Avalanche in 13.
Never heard of him.
Aaron Ekblad from Florida in 2014.
Never heard of him.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
From 16. He's pretty good. Nico Hischier from New Jersey.
Never heard of him.
Out of the Quebec League and from Czechoslovakia, so he may not have signed yet. And the Sabres drafted Rasmus Dahlin last year, number 1.
Never heard of him. He sounds like a Spinal Tap drummer.
Oh, and Jack Hughes last year. Who's
Yakupov was a bust, huh?
Yakupov was a bust.
Hi, Larry.
Nugent Hopkins didn't have a great.
When was the last goalie to go 1? That's interesting. Boy, that's a good trivia question. Goalies don't usually go 1. Usually you want to go with the scoring. I think the last time the Bruins picked a goalie really high was Blaine Locke. If you remember Blaine Locke with Boston. And he wasn't there. He wasn't the number 1 pick. He might have been Boston's number 1 pick. I know he went pretty high for Boston. And he played pretty well, and then he had a mental meltdown. And then he retired early. Was Lindros the top pick? Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Was he one over? I think he was. He was picked by Quebec, right? And then he wouldn't play with Quebec. So they sent him to Philadelphia for all those dudes, and then all those dudes went to Colorado, won the cup.
3 goalies have gone 1 overall.
All right, hang on. Let's any of them recent, like the last 20 years?
2 in
Two in the last
2 in the 21st century.
Okay, so from 2000 to 2020, there were 2 goalies picked 1 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
1 I would say was a moderate bust. And 1 is will be a Hall of Famer.
Okay. Boy, I'm trying to think number 1s and where they went early. One of them Chicago? Was one of them in Chicago?
But neither one was Chicago.
Neither one was Chicago.
Chicago's last number 1 pick was
Carey Price?
No.
Really?
Okay. But no. Okay. Montreal had the first ever there, and he was a bust. But
we got people saying Fleury?
Yes.
Really good job, H2O.
2003, and he's the one that's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Dave says Luongo?
No, it wasn't Luongo.
DiPietro?
Yes, DiPietro.
Wow.
From the BU Terriers.
You know, he was really good, but boy, I tell you, when he had that huge contract with the Islanders, that really kind of handcuffed them.
Wow, the first decent player drafted number 1 overall was Reggie Houle in 69 by the Habs. Montreal had the number 1 pick in 68, and they took Michel Placé from the Drummondville Rangers as a goaltender. And I'd never heard of him until just now. So
Michel Placé, he ended up playing with Colorado and Kansas City. Placé. Okay. I think he started with Montreal.
So the first ever number 1 draft pick, Gary Monahan from Montreal in 63. Claude Gauthier went to Detroit, number 1 overall in 64. Andre Velio went to the Rangers, number 1 overall in 65. And would you believe that Bobby Orr was not a number 1 pick? The Bruins picked Barry Gibbs first overall in 66.
Well, he had a good career with the Bee Gees, though.
Yes. DiPietro and
here's a local guy up here. He's pretty good, but just not that.
So there's 3. That would have been about 1 or 2 more than I thought.
Yeah. If you were to start a team, and I'll throw this out to the chat room,
Mhm.
if you were to start a hockey team, who would be the? Let's start with three. Who would be the first three guys on your team? If you could take any player in their prime and make a team, who would the first three guys you picked for your team? If someone said you get the first three picks of a dream team, who would they be? Any position at all, doesn't matter. Even a coach if you want, I guess. Who would be your top three hockey picks of all time in their prime? If you could grab any player from any decade and say, I'm going to pick you out of the 50s, you out of the 2000s, whatever, and make my team. I got two. I have a hard time on the third one.
Howe, Orr, and Gretz. Gretzky, Howe, and Orr.
I'm not a Howe guy.
Gretzky, Orr, and Howe.
I'm not a Howe guy. I know he played a long time. I'm just not a Howe guy. I don't know why. Oh, this is an interesting one. Or Gretzky, Bork.
Gretzky, Barrio, and Dryden. Or Howe and Gretzky.
How about you, Jacket?
Trottier.
Like that's a good one. Trottier, yep.
Gosh. Lemieux, Gretzky, Orr.
Lemieux didn't back check. Lemieux would stand at center ice with the goalie out and let his team play 6-on-4. And then they would block a shot and throw it to him at center ice, and he would score the open net or be a hero. Not a big Lemieux guy. He was a one-way player. Scored a lot of points. He just never helped out in the defensive zone. And that always bugged me about him. He was always hanging at center ice. Always bugged me about him.
Gosh. I'm tempted to say Wah, but, he lost more games he had to win than he won. To
be fair, I didn't see Howe play a lot. Okay, he was way before my time. Okay,
I guess Trotz, because he's just one of the best two-way players ever. Howe and defenseman, huh?
Doesn't have to be. You can pick three forwards.
And Gretz. Bork would be Bork. Marty. If I said Trottier, I deserve a pineapple pizza. Speaking of things, I need to pick on H2O Field for a second here, okay?
All right.
So doing the golf stream the other day, and it's breakfast time or lunchtime when we're doing this in his part of the world. It's not a rant. Jesus. Fine, it's a rant. And so he's eating. So I said, so what are you eating? And he goes, bacon and eggs. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. And then he waits about 15 seconds and said, pineapple.
Ooh.
And I went, oh, what are you doing the pineapple on? And I play a shot and go, and I look over on the screen and it says, pizza.
Yeah. A little applause for you on that one. I get my top two players. The third is really tough, but my top two, it would be Orr and Jágr.
Well, Jágr played forever.
But Jágr in his prime, just when I go back and I watch him, and maybe Rick Middleton, but I don't know if he'd crack the top three. He might be a 4 or a 5. I always loved Middleton. He was just Jágr with his hands was just filthy in his prime. Filthy in his prime. It was so fun to watch him in his prime. And Orr is just obviously Orr. Middleton was pretty good, boy. I'm not sure if he'd probably be in my top 10. I don't know if he'd make the top 3 though. But I just the stuff he did. When I used to go to the games in the 80s, and go to the Boston Garden, and you could just watch Middleton and just follow him around the ice. And the stuff that he did it was incredible, the stuff he did. And just if you ever seen the highlights of some of the things he did, it's pretty cool. He was just so unbelievable. It just he didn't even know what he's gonna. He just make it up along the way, and he would score or set up a goal or something. It was really, really fun watching him play.
You know who I'd take for a goalie? I'd take Tretiak. I know that.
Really?
Well, and I think that if Tretiak had played in the NHL, I think, with the exception of getting yanked against the Americans, and again, they should never been yanked at, I think he's probably the best ever to play in the position. You don't win all those world championships without someone that strong between the pipes, and the Soviets were an incredible team.
I would love to see some of the goalies from back in the day with the equipment.
Oh my gosh,
they have today. Because I was watching some highlights of Jerry Cheevers the other day, and he was taking these slap shots and making a save, and he would get done. He'd be like rubbing this and like rubbing his hand and doing this. It's like there was no protection back then, and so I would love to see some of these goalies of the past with the stuff they had for today and see how they did, because there'd be no fear of the puck. We
were talking not too long ago, but that goalie from Pittsburgh that didn't wear the last one that didn't wear a mask.
Andy Brown.
How good was Yzerman? Yzerman was pretty damn good.
Yzerman, as a rookie, Yzerman was unbelievable.
And so I got down the rabbit hole watching things, and so I ended up watching some Gump Worsley highlights.
I did too the other day. I was watching.
It's like, how do you do that with nothing on your face?
He wanted to see the puck. Did you see the chest protector he had? It was just like, it was one that, he said he wore in juniors, and it was so worn out, it probably had as much protection as a sweater. And he goes, I never wanted the new one. I wanted the mobility. And he says, I didn't have any protection, but I had mobility. If I had put on protection, I would have lost my mobility. So he absorbed the shots, and it's just, he didn't have much for equipment. And that's actually why I stopped playing goalies back in the early 90s, is that my equipment was so bad.
Imagine. I mean, so there's more and more curve on the sticks as we go along.
Yeah. The sticks got ahead of the goalie equipment. The goalies were getting hurt, bad, especially with the face mask and stuff. But I mean, my equipment was so bad. I was getting bruises everywhere just playing pickup hockey. And I was just like, this is not fun anymore. I started to get scared of the puck because it was going to hurt. It was going to bruise every time. Yeah, I finally picked up some really nice turtle shell, chest protector, right? I couldn't move. I ended up cutting off part of the pieces there and leaving myself unprotected because I could not move. So you have to decide, do you want to just, be a blob like this and stop the puck, or do you want to have some mobility? I liked my mobility, but at some point I gave up and I just started skating out. Broughton was the only one to have a good Broughton had a good career. A few other guys played okay.
Kenny Morrow okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Islanders guy. He did well,
but only because he was on a team full of right in the middle of that dynasty.
Holland Crozier, they were before me. I caught the end of Crozier when he was an old man. He still was playing good as an old man, but it would have been interesting to see him in the heyday. Yeah, more pucks go. Yeah, because they got the curves now, so they're always shooting high for the corners
and hard.
Yeah,
wasn't Cal McInnes one of the first ones to have a puck register at 100?
Yeah, I think he was. Either him or who was the guy from St. Louis?
I.F. Frady.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, Bobby Hull when they started curving those sticks in the 60s. Yeah, I'm actually friends with Reggie Leach on Facebook. It was kind of by accident that he friended me, but we're still friends. And I actually met him last year, or the year before, in up here in the Boston area. And I asked him one time on Facebook, I said, Reg, I got to ask you, when you played against goalies without masks, did you get easy? Did you ever factor in the fact that they had no mask on? And he said, two words, he said, no way. they just shot. That was that, Oh, this guy here. It's enough with the Lindros.
Oh, gosh.
Enough with the Lindros. I get it. I get it. You like him. You got his jersey. He signed a stick for you when you were 8 years old. I get it. But
Ruppy Haley is the best goalie he's ever seen.
Oh yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah.
So you eat Pizza Hut all the time, and that takes away your judgment on things. Maurice, he wasn't a very good defender.
Yeah, aim for the throw. That's why I stopped taking goalie warm-ups because they would just shoot at my head. So I would go out and I would just stretch at the bench. Like, you're gonna get a net so we can warm you up. I says, no, you can take slap shots on an open net. That's fine. Just shoot them nice, high, and hard because that's what you're gonna do on me. I'll save my bruises for the game, because no one knows how to warm up a goalie. In Hockey Blast, does the game tell you what the line pairings are? No. In fact, that is the topic for our show this week: is how to keep it fair. And we were supposed to record that last couple of days, but it's just been really hot, and we've had some freaky things happen last minute. So hopefully we'll record that next couple of days. But no, they don't. What I do, though, without giving away the show, is a couple things you can do. You can go try to find that game on the internet somewhere and see if you can find the lines. Or maybe what I do sometimes is I go to Strat and see what Strat said for lines. Okay, either that or So for Hockey Blast specifically, I can either go to Strat and look up the lines, or you can try to put together lines. Again, it's your game. There's no wrong answer. So sometimes I'll put together a good power play line 1, line 2's a medium line, and line 3 is my penalty killing line. So every time there's a penalty, I put out line 3 for the penalty kill, and line 1 is my power play unit. So sometimes I do that, but when I'm aware of the lines, I try to keep them to get, like, I think Strat I used when I did my Bruins Blues replay from 1970. I think I used Strat, so I knew it was Esposito, Hodge, Cashman, okay, up front for the Bruins, and then the St. Louis had their lines. So I just kept all the lines together, is what I did. So, but because I knew the lines as a kid, I actually knew the lines too. But no, Hockey Blast, it doesn't tell you. You got to figure it out yourself, and that's the hard part when you're playing yourself. Is, as our topic will tell, we'll go over this week. How do you keep it fair? Because you're setting the line for both teams. So once you set the visitors, you know what their strengths are in Hockey Blast, and that's the problem with Hockey Blast, is that you can see the cards. You know how many squares and triangles and who the scorers are and who the checkers are, and so you can set up your lines, and then you can look at the other line, and it's almost like the Price is Right, where someone bids 200 and you can bid 201 and set up your lines that way, which is unfair. So I try to, I don't know, I have a couple of different ways that I do it when I play that.
Bork or Leach?
Oh, Bork all the way. Bork all the way. And why I say that, in fact, I take Bork over Coffee too. And why I say that,
Jesus, I'd take Potvin over Coffee too.
Yeah.
But
and why I say that is Bork was a part of some really bad Boston Bruins team, really bad. And when those teams were bad and they didn't have anybody up front that you knew or that was under 35, they had a lot of older guys at the time when I watched them. Bork would carry the team. Bork would put that team in the playoffs. Bork would score the goal, make the play. Bork did everything for the Bruins, and he did it for a long time, whether he had support or whether he didn't. Coffee didn't. Coffee was unbelievable on the Oilers. When he went to the Whalers, he was horrible. When he went to the Bruins, he was horrible. I think he was on the Kings too, and he was horrible. Horrible's a strong word. Horrible's a strong word. He did not carry any of the teams except for and he wouldn't carry the Oilers because everybody carried the Oilers. But I mean, Bork carried.
Was never a good defenseman.
No, he was very offensive defenseman.
Forward.
Yep. But just this is my opinion, is that Bork carried the Bruins through bad years. Coffee rode the wave with the Oilers. And when he went to a team other than the Oilers, he was pretty insignificant. Not saying he was bad. I said horrible, so let me take that back. He wasn't horrible.
Except for the Hall of Famer.
But horrible compared to Bork when Bork was on bad teams. So if you took both of those guys and put them on a bad team, this would be Bork, this would be Coffee, as far as it went. So that's all I would say about that. Let's see.
The two numbers I read, the first one is their range, and it goes on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being me and 10 being Ozzie Smith. And the arm rating is only for the outfielders and the catcher. And so someone like Dwight Evans or Roberto Clemente would always be 9s or 10s. And someone like Johnny Damon would have a 1 because he had an arm that was a ramen noodle. So yes, when I read those, it's for the first number is their range. Everybody has a range, and like I said, the outfielders and the catcher have an arm rating. So Johnny Bench can throw out runners. Mike Piazza can't.
Yeah, Coffey was a yep. That's a good way to put it. He was a fantastic offensive defenseman. He really was, and he did well. Lindstrom, as far as D-man, yeah, that's not bad. And you know what's pretty sad is I watched a video on YouTube the other day. I was telling Ron about this, and there was just a regular dude on there, and I don't know how big his channel was, but he was just talking about. I think he had 10 people who were in the Hockey Hall of Fame that shouldn't be there. And he started picking off all these stay-at-home defensemen. And like, this guy's in there, and he's a stay-at-home defenseman, and he shouldn't be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And this guy's got nothing but numbers, another stay-at-home defenseman. It's just like, dude, there is more to the Hall of Fame than goals and assists. You know, if you score 15 goals a game, but you have no defense, and the other team scores 16, you don't win any cups, you know? So he was like dumping all over the stay-at-home defensemen, and I was just like, and everybody was giving him the business in the comments, you know, and it was just like, what are you talking about? What do you mean that, you know, he's a stay-at-home defenseman, so he can't be in the Hall of Fame? Now, someone has to mind the shop.
Pierre Palat, Al Arbor.
Yeah, there was the few guys. I don't know which ones he picked on, but that was one of them. You know, it was just like, holy cow! And it was a lot of Bruins and Canadians he singled out too. So he was just sour, and it I didn't care for.
What would be your thought on Guy Carbonneau, who was a tremendous defensive forward but couldn't produce? I mean, he was a better producer than Bob Gainey, which isn't saying much. But, you know, I mean, does he get it? Does he get in just because he played? I mean, he also had some good years for Dallas, but does he get in because he's only for the Canadians? Or, I mean, Carbonneau is who you'd want out there killing penalties.
Carbonneau was a household name. He was pretty solid. I think he was solid. Carbonneau was solid. You know, Hall of Fame, it's tough because it's very uneven in the Hall of Fame. You know the guys that should be there.
Right.
But then you get into the B and the C categories of the Hall of Fame, and some guys you never heard of, and it's like, how can this guy be in the Hall of Fame but not this guy if they have identical numbers, so to speak? And that's the thing about football, too, is they say Namath should not be in the Hall of Fame. His numbers were horrible.
But for the era, they were great.
But but if you compare them to somebody else, they're not as great.
Compared to Troy Aikman, no, not even close.
But I mean, you know, they said that the backup quarterback for the Panthers had more touchdown passes than Namath did.
Namath also played on one leg for 5 years too.
But it doesn't matter. But that doesn't put him in the Hall of Fame just because he's got a hurt leg.
Here's a good argument. Here's one for baseball. You know, Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame. You could make a borderline case for Baines. And you could certainly make the case why he should be in there. But Dwight Evans has to buy a ticket. Dwight Evans is one of the best defensive arms to ever play right field. And he wasn't a hitter until he was in his mid-30s. You know, Evans fell, I think, 8 homers short of 400. You know, you're going to tell me that if Baines is a Hall of Famer, and I could see the argument where he would be, that Evans is not.
Yeah.
You know, or compare Namath with Craig Morton. I don't consider Craig Morton a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Some good years in Denver and lost his job to Roger Staubach in Dallas.
Yeah.
Namath.
Hi, Jules. I was getting tests done today. My big day is Thursday. So
we're going to bring the camera? We're going to do a vlog?
Hopefully I'll be here on Friday to tell the tale. That's all I got to say. I'm pretty nervous about it, actually, as you probably know. It's just weird. Everything I'm hearing is going to be fine, but it's just the idea of it. It's probably one of the most serious and invasive things that I've ever had done of this body here. So I'm hoping I'll be here Friday to tell the tale, and I'll be back Monday for support chat, and maybe I'll do some streaming this weekend. But the only good thing about this whole shutdown thing is I really got to just kind of take it easy leading up to this procedure, and then I'll have plenty of time to recover.
If there's a other good thing for you, you were really cold when you started the blood thinners back when we first thought you were doing this, and you haven't complained all about it this time.
Yeah, no, April, May I was on them, and I was really cold, but it's been so hot now. Yeah, this has probably been the time to do it. So, I've tried to take care of the body a little bit. You know, going to certain doctors and specialists, and eye doctors coming up in the whole bit. You know. Yeah, they weren't too bad today, although as I said earlier, one doctor scheduled my COVID test, another doctor scheduled my blood test. I didn't know that's how it was done, and so they sent me home after one test, and I was just like, oh my gosh, now I got to make all these phone calls to chase down the great doctor.
We were supposed to tape early this afternoon, but
it didn't work out today. So I ran back up to the hospital, and they plucked me with all these needles till they got blood out of me. They had to give me an ice pack to cool me down because I started to get anxious. It was kind of funny. Did on about coffee, Road Gretzky, and then the Penguins with the Mule, and Detroit. Yeah, I mean, he's fine. He's somebody you want up there to shore up the line, but when you look at overall, Bork could do everything Coffee did, but then Bork carried the team. Maybe that's because I'm from Boston and I watched bad Bruins teams, and I watched how Bork would score the goal or set up the goal, or he'd play half the game. Seriously, I went to a game one time, and I think we were in the first row balcony. We had really good seats at the Garden, and they'd play in his zone, and they'd break the puck up. Bork would go to the bench and sit, right? They play in his zone. They come out, throw it in the Bruins' end, bring it out. Bork comes back out. It was like sit, out, sit, out. It was just a constant, just him just playing the entire game, carrying the team, and yeah, Bork was the man out there. He was. And I remember one time, as I go off a little tangent here with Bork, I don't know if I was at the game, if I saw it on TV. I think I was at the game. I used to go to a bunch of games in the 80s. And some guy in the other team, I don't know who it was the Bruins were on a power play, I think. Or they had it in the zone. And Bork's at the point, right? And this guy would just come up to Bork and he'd whack him in the leg, right? And then Bork, would push him or something, and then the guy would just skate to the point and whack Bork in the leg again, and then go back into the zone. And after 3 or 4 times, the guy whacked Bork, and Bork dropped his gloves, took his helmet, threw it in the ground, and went, "Let's go!" And then this guy turtled and ran. He wanted nothing to do, and Bork was gonna murder this guy. He just kept whacking Bork and whacking. Bork finally said, okay, let's settle this like men, not like this little girly stuff you're doing here. And this guy he took one look at Bork and he skated away. The linesman broke him up and left him alone the rest of the game. I was afraid Bork was just going to pummel this guy. But I watched him. It's like, what? Look at this guy. He's like whacking Bork and whacking Bork and whacking Bork. And finally, Bork, okay, helmet and everything come off. He took out everything. Let's go. And this guy didn't want nothing to do with it. Yeah, he was a tank. He was small too. He's my height. I ran into him at Leechmere one time.
Wow, there's a blast from the past.
Yeah. I was with Sharon here, and I don't even think we were married at the time. We're in Leechmere, and I'm following her around, and she's looking for a clock or something, And I look over, and there's some other guy following some lady around who was looking for something. It was Ray Bork, and here is Hall of Fame NHL defenseman and Dave just watching our wife shop at Leechmere. It just was too funny. I just, how's it going? He's just like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Hopefully they find what they want. We can get out of here.
Yeah, so, I did that once with the governor of Vermont in Macy's.
Oh, really?
There, and I'm looking over, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's so-and-so.
Was that Bernie?
What?
Was that Bernie?
Bernie was never governor. I'd mention the name, but it won't mean anything to anybody.
Okay.
It wasn't Howard Dean either, because that name would mean something. But so we're both in the women's department waiting for our wives at Macy's.
That's funny,
yeah. Here I am with the governor.
Bork was he was a tank. He was strong. He wasn't very big, but he was just solid. You could just see he just took nothing from anybody.
Scott, the New York Islanders between 1979 and 83 would like a word with you. They won 19 straight playoff series, and let's talk about some of those Canadiens teams.
It's hard to, it's really hard to say best teams ever because you have a whole bunch of Canadiens teams that won games. You have, those Edmonton teams that won games. You had, Islanders that won all those games. Penguins teams. You have a ton of teams that were just really good, and it's hard to. A lot of it's emotion.
Other thing, I think the one thing that kind of holds Edmonton back in all seriousness is their goaltending. Maybe some of it's because of the era that Fuhr and Moog played in. You know, are you going to take Grant Fuhr to win you a game, or are you going to take Kenny Dryden?
Yeah.
You know, or yeah. So it's not a knock. You know, like when they finally put the right players around Gretzky, they were incredible. But
hey, do you think the Action PC hockey game coming out? Do you think that draft mode that they had? Do you think you could draft from all the seasons you have, or do you think it'd be that one season? Because that would be fun to do this experiment that we're doing here. Is the draft?
They would need to have the encyclopedia function, and I don't think that's out yet. They have it for baseball and football, but not for hockey.
Because it would be fun. Well, I think you could do it. I think you can drag and drop players anyway if you wanted to.
I suppose you could. I don't know. We'll see.
But maybe we should do that. Maybe that'd be one of our hockey projects this fall. Is to take a couple of the best teams and pit them up against each other and have a little mini tournament going on and see how it goes. You know. Chara, I mean,
he's certainly a Hall of Famer.
He's been around a while. He's won the cup. I mean, he's a big boy. I don't know if he puts up the numbers, but boy, he's a leader out there, and he's a key player.
One of those captain intangible players that the numbers don't necessarily matter too much. That because of his reputation and his physicality.
But I mean, he's a big defenseman. He blocks the pass. I for a big boy, I think he plays unbelievable. So I mean, considering some of the people in the Hall of Fame, yeah, I would say Chara. I mean, you factor in that, you know, he's won a cup, which is a big deal to some people. He's played a long time. He's got numbers, and he plays.
Marchand is kind of in that range too for the Bruins.
Who is?
Marchand. Brad Marchand?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I like him. He's in Boston.
Team leader.
I think obviously Bergeron's got to be a shoe-in for that, you know. So, but how many plays do you take off of one team, you know, put in there?
That's true, Dave. That Edmonton did win a cup without Gretzky and Coffey.
Yep. Yeah, Gretzky didn't do a heck of a lot. Oh, he got to the finals with the Kings there that one time. That was a fun series.
Yes, we took care of that.
Yeah. Oh, you had to cheat with the referees and the stick. But aside from that, yeah.
And John LeClair were those two overtime winners too. But
yeah, that was a good series. That really was. Yeah, Bergeron for sure. Bergeron's been around for a while. I don't know when he started playing, but I got a video game from like 20 years ago with Bergeron in it. I'm like, holy cow, he's been around a long time. And that's too bad because he's pretty good. I want to see him play a lot longer, but no, maybe he was here when he was 18. You know, maybe he's only 36 or something. I don't know. I don't know how old he is. But yeah, no, Chara's well, he's older now, and that's what happens when we all get older, you know. And yeah, good point. His antics might keep him out of the Hall of Fame. You're right. He's got the numbers and he's this and that, but yeah, he does a lot of weird things that, you know, that might keep him out. And then, you know, character comes into play when you talk about getting into the Hall of Fame.
Bergeron's 35. He was drafted in 2003.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do that. Sometimes when you watch it, like there's some guys I didn't like either, some teams I didn't like, and then you watch a special on them.
Bobby Clark is one player that I never liked and thought he was just a jerkwad until apparently he played his entire career as a type 1 diabetic.
Yeah.
As I saw, they did one of the intermission specials for the Canadiens this year was with him talking with Max Domi, who's also a type 1 diabetic, and a grade A piece of work. And that's even for my team. And so it's like, if you can play at that high level, knowing that your body's going through that, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Reggie Leach, I read his book, and he talked a lot about Bobby Clark in that book and the whole bit. So, yeah, you know, there's only a handful of guys that I don't care for. Clark was one I didn't care for.
Yeah, never. Wendell I was okay with, but Bobby, no.
Just the dirtiness of him, and I know that's kind of how it was back then, but
no, but they really took dirty into a new level, a pig pen level.
Yeah, him. And who was the other guy? That was Claude Lemieux was another guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, he came up with Montreal, went to Colorado. Yeah.
He ended up playing with the Worcester Ice Cats for a short time too. And it's like
How many minutes did he get there?
I don't remember. He scored a goal. He was all excited. It was his first professional goal in so many years. I just didn't. Who was the guy that cross-checked the Dale Hunter? Dale Hunter when he cross-checked Pierre Turgeon after the Islanders scored the goal, he cross-checked him. He took him out of the series. Dale Hunter, and
That's filthy.
Never liked that guy. All it takes is one cheap shot like that, and I didn't care for that. Well, Bergeron played in Providence. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, he did. He did take on the Russians, but he broke the guy's ankle.
They're going home.
He broke the guy's ankle in Russia. Their best player. They took him out with a slash. Now, I get that the referees were ridiculously slanted when they went to Russia. And if you look at the penalty minutes, it was like 30 minutes of penalty minutes for Canada and 8 for Russia. So I get that, but that still didn't like that. Neely Zarchen, who was that? Alfie, never cared for him either.
Yeah, I mean, the Goons have never been a huge there. Did Dale Hunter ever fight Ty Doby? Ooh,
I don't think Hunter fought many people. Hunter just went around cheap shotting people. That's what he did.
Who was it? Steve Avery was a douchebag who sat there and tried to interfere with Brodeur.
Yeah. His own teammates get on his crap for that.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah, Hunter and Lemieux, I didn't care.
I mean, it was exciting every time Detroit played Colorado because you knew that Lemieux was going to mix it up, but
yeah,
it's a one-trick pony, and you really aren't doing anybody any good sitting in the box.
Graves is still high. I didn't know that. I didn't know Graves had broke his wrist. Yeah, there's a lot of whacking going on. I can't believe there's not more broken wrists from what you. I mean, they've cracked down on it a lot now, but still, it was bad. He did a cameo
to Paul of NESHL.
Oh, that's the league that I used to work for. That went out of business there. I can't believe they're playing hockey in New Hampshire. We can't play hockey here.
Yeah, your rates are pretty much the same.
It's just they're holding the Beantown tournament in Salem, New Hampshire, because we can't play hockey in Massachusetts. So there's no Beantown anything right now.
Russians were using their skates to find tendons. Ow.
Oh, were they? Oh, that's too bad.
That's interesting. When Mike Peluso was on the Hawks, he would sharpen his hockey skills in the offseason by taking boxing lessons.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not a big fan of the fighting in hockey. I when I play the video games, I turn it off. I just don't need it. In fact, even when I play Action PC, I take the fighting and I drop it down to like minimum. I have some, but I don't really care for it. I just don't find it to be that fun. I know you ooh and ah when you're at the game, but still, it's like, let's just play hockey. I want to see hockey. I want to play. I want to see some good plays. Been watching a lot of the old stuff, and boy, I tell you, it was brutal. Watching some 70s and 80s hockey on YouTube, it is brutal. It's tough to watch. It's just the guys skate so slow, and not all of them, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's why the Oilers were so good. They played a lot of that European style system.
And you looked at, like, if you watch highlights from the Edmonton games, when they were good back then, no matter what game was, every shot went in. It was just the goalies weren't making many saves at all back then. It was just that's why the games were 8-9-0, 8-8 or whatever it was. It was really something else.
Tim Thomas credits yoga to his flexibility.
I heard a lot of guys did that. There was an article.
Yeah, I mean that would be you got to stay loose and flexible.
Yeah, there was an article about that some of the Bruins, going back a few years ago, they were going to see some yoga person, and they were like, wow, yoga's a lot tougher than we thought it was going to be, because you're doing different things and different muscles. But yeah, it was helping them out.
Never been a huge fighting fan. I can see where it has a place. I mean, hockey is a good sport that polices itself on the ice, but it can go too far.
They've pretty much phased it out now. Even big hits now. If you hit somebody hard and they don't get up, you're gone and you get suspended and fined if you on a clean hit. And it's just it's just a different game. It really is. But anyway, so But yeah, we just want to come on tonight and say hi to everybody. I was supposed to be on last Monday, but we had the internet problem, and that was kind of crazy. And but tonight we wanted to jump on and get through this heat wave here. Boy, I tell you, what's the temperature up there, Ron? What is it?
Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 71 degrees.
It's gonna get to 71. It's almost 8 o'clock. It's still 91.
Yeah, 91 at 7:54.
Wow. Wow, that lake up there is gonna be a hot tub pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it's like the hottest it's been since they've been recording the temperature of the water.
Yeah.
Champ
That's
is
crazy.
taking a wicked piss in that thing, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, Champy, you better stop. Yeah. And I would admit, in fact, that's how a lot of those Bruins teams, they when they played the expansion teams, they were
Take advantage of it.
Yep, that's why they rung up a lot of numbers with that.
Tim.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, H2O. Yeah, thanks for coming by. Yeah, we're trying to do Mondays, Scott. Last Monday I had no internet, so I couldn't do it. It was really weird last Monday. Hopefully I'll be around here. Hopefully my thing will go well on Thursday and I'll be around to do a show on Monday. If you don't hear from me, good luck, you guys. 107. Holy cow, Tim. I forget where you are, Tim. I think Tim was in California, right? Is he in California?
No, I know that our buddies that live in the central California gets really warm.
Rich, you guys must be boiling out there in San Diego.
It's usually pretty cool.
Oh, they're in the water there, yeah. Yeah.
When you go inland, you don't want to be inland, but San Diego proper is usually 75.
Right.
You go 25 miles into Rancho Cucamonga, and
I'm not sure if the Oilers did that or not. Maybe they did.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, take advantage of it's the old auto racing thing. If you're not, Tim's in Southern California and San Diego, 75 in San Diego,
107 in SoCal. Wow.
yeah. So
75.
if you're on the ocean, Santa Monica and all that's fine, but you get 60 miles east of LA. Oh yeah, so you're out in the desert. You're out in Palm Springs. Say hi to Bob's Bones for me, okay?
Is that the Mojave Desert? I drove through the Mojave Desert back in the 80s. It was ridiculously hot. I don't know how the car didn't overheat. It was bad. We had an old Ford Fiat or whatever it was. It was bad. But we got it there. We got it to what the hell we go to? Just outside of LA. Oh man. Ontario? I think we're out near Ontario.
It's outside of Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, we went to Ontario, California there. Buddy was on Air Force Base out there or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's amazing because you can be about 45 minutes east of Los Angeles, and it's brutal. And
Yeah, I remember going through the Mojave. It was we pulled in to get gas in the
it's
shade,
fine.
and it was like a 50-degree difference in the shade. It was nuts. But like Florida, if you go to Orlando, because Orlando's in the center, you're dying. But if you go to Tampa on the coast or whatever, it's not too bad. So stay near the water. Best thing to do. Oh, so I thought it was the Canadians they changed the rule for. Maybe it was the Oilers.
The Canadians, they changed the rules so you could only score once on the power play.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because Montreal would get a full 2 minutes to score 3 times.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember they changed it from 5-on-5 to 4-on-4, 4-on-4 to 5-on-5, whatever they did there. We had that in our league at one time. If we had coincidental, you'd skate a man down, but then I was like, that's taking away ice time from somebody who's paying. So let's just go play full strength out there. So that's what we did with that. But so anyway, we're gonna wrap this up here. It's coming up on 8 o'clock here on a very, very hot Monday night. We're gonna hope to either record tomorrow or in the next couple of days the next Digital to Dice episode. It's just been ridiculously hot, and we were going to record today, and something happened. We're going to record this afternoon, and something happened, and now it's just too darn hot, and the energy level is really low in the heat. Really low in the heat. Let me tell you.
What's the weather tomorrow?
Tomorrow in Burlington, there will be some sun and thunderstorms, with a high of 89 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 64 degrees.
It's supposed to break.
That's what I'm concerned about. As we record tomorrow, I got thunderstorms coming in, and I don't know if it's going to shake up my electricity or my internet. But
No, we can do it Wednesday or whatever.
Play it
Do
by
it.
ear. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get a show. We'll get a show out this week. So anyway, so anyway, thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. As tried to bring some energy tonight. It's just been so hot. I'm soaked sitting here in the cellar, even with a fan on me. It's just really hot out. So, but thanks everybody for tuned in. Hopefully we'll be back next Monday, and weather providing, and hopefully I'll be here next Monday.
let's hope so.
Let's hope so, right? I still got some things I want to do in life.
I'm sure that the corpse will have a few kind words too.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Yep. Thursday's the big day. I'm hoping it's a lot of nothing, but I purposely not looked into what they're doing to me because I don't want to hear about it. Just do it, get it done. Hopefully I'll feel better, and we're done with that. Because I know Strat's coming out with 87, 88, so I'm going to be all over that. So I want to be around to play that. I think they got the Olympics coming out too for 1980, so I want to get some of that. So, and Action PC is coming out on Friday, so hopefully I'll be. I don't think I'm staying overnight unless something goes awry. But hopefully I'll be home and I can play some Action PC this weekend. So anyway, yes, I should be playing the tabletop game, and I haven't. It's been too hot. I've been doing. I just been sitting back. I've been playing a video game. I've just been sitting on the couch with a fan on me. I haven't wanted to set up anything on the table. I'm just playing mindless video games this week to beat the heat. So anyway, all right, folks. Talk to everybody later on. Thanks for joining me.
As always,
stay cool up there. Stay cool.
I shall try. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.